I was born and I have been living for the last 28 years in the country of Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the town of Zenica, which is the central part of the town. And I come from the country which has survived war. Actually has survived, but is still recovering from the outcomes of the war. I'm an English teacher, so I am to teach teenager kids in high school English language. But apart from that, my professional work is also in the local non-governmental organization in Bosnia, which I, together with some friends of mine, initiated and set up by the end of the war. So I have been working also in that organization for the last 8 years. I think NVC as a language is a kind of universal language. It's a kind of, for me, it's a language that we all speak. So whether it's English or Bosnian, I really, even though sometimes what I found when I teach also children, when I teach them English, I can feel that they also speak NVC without using Bosnian or English. So I really feel it a kind of universal language. NVC language is a natural language for children. And for the adults, I think it's just, they still don't know that they speak it. They need to get to that place. But I think they also speak that language as well. They just somehow forgot how to speak it. But young people also, if we are willing to listen also, we can also recognize that they are also speaking the language itself, NVC language. So that makes us also connected to them. I think the first time I was encountered, it was like a really revelation for me, because that was apart from, it wasn't that it changed my life in that way, but that was really some kind of confirmation for the dream that I had within me, that finally I had something to confirm that. Like I needed something like the outside stimulus just to confirm that I had, it was good to share that dream with that outside stimulus. Because that dream during the war felt a kind of isolated. In that way, I needed that confirmation. I needed someone to share that dream with me. In the middle of the war, I don't think I was that sensitive. You know, in the middle of the war, I was more numb. You know, I was like paralyzed. And there were lots of feelings within, but I just didn't know how to connect to them. You know, and in the middle of the war, it was also a lot of fear that I wasn't even aware of it. That all paralyzed. In that way, it also helped a lot to see what was all in the background. I thought there was something wrong with me. You know, I just suddenly cut myself out from other people, just isolated. My parents wanted to send me to see the psychologist, the psychiatrist. No one knew how to deal in that situation. And then finally I got some confirmation that there was nothing wrong with me. I just had so much suppressed in me that I didn't know how to connect, because the war was a completely new experience. I think it's still happening. You know, I experienced that kind of a period of numbness when I really didn't, I didn't want to live, you know. But after that, when I slowly connected to the feelings within me and started to realizing what was really happening, it was like I was born again. So I don't think that process is finished. I think I'm every day challenged with also what was left, what's new in this moment. So it's every day, for me, it's an everyday connection with those feelings. And also if the setting to have political leaders communicate in a different way, we could have prevented it to happen. Not only in our country, but in the international scene. If we could just if we had a setting where the people could have been heard in that way, I think the violence could have been stopped. That feels sometimes, in me, that sometimes arouses the feeling of helplessness. But on the other hand, I also feel very empowered, because I think with those skills, I can still contribute to the country which has suffered already. We can't rewind, you know, the tape. It already happened. But with those skills, we can also contribute a lot to the damages which had been resulted in Bosnia. So I think in that way, that feels good. That part of me feels good. My great dream is that we initiate and really have in Bosnia the giraffe schools, or whatever we call. We don't need to call them the giraffe schools, but just to have the schools where the kids, especially in the towns which are still ethnically divided in Bosnia, and we are working in those towns as well since last year, to have those skills being applied with teachers, parents and kids in those areas. I think that would be a kind of fulfillment for me to see in 3 years from now. I believe in NVC because it helped me to mourn, and with that leaving the space in me also to celebrate, which I didn't know how to really feel joy, to really feel that happiness. And that makes me ready to move also, to contribute.